going down Imperial Highway. The big nasty red in my.
Welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Watch. I'm Matt.
And I'm Pat. Welcome to Wednesday night this week.
I'm Abe.
Wednesday
Happy Halloween, everybody.
I'm Brett. Same thing.
And tonight, guys and gals and people out there, our special guest is Scott Perkins, who is running for City Council of San Ramon, District 1. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. We'll get into the districts, and that's like the most confusing thing this year, but District 1. So Scott's a great guy here. He grew up in the Bay Area. He earned his Eagle Scout at age 13. He went to the U.S. Naval Academy and got a degree in mechanical engineering, served 5 years of active duty in the Navy. Look, even Brett's dogs are cheering for you.
Sorry, my granddaughter just showed up.
3 years aboard. So let me get back into this. 3 years aboard a ship in San Diego, made 2 10-month deployments in the Western Pacific, South Pacific, and Indian Ocean. Scott, thank you for your service. I think that's awesome. We all do. We've got a veteran right here with
nice.
Brett. He was in the Marines.
Oh, good.
Naval Academy, way to go.
Yes.
Scott was three of my uncles went there.
We're going to have to talk a little Marine stuff because I served 2 tours with Marines.
Nice.
I did 2
What'd you
tours
do?
with Marines.
Mm-hmm. What did you do?
Well, let's get into that. Let me finish this bio.
Mechanical engineer. Sorry, I know we got other questions.
Brett, I'm just 2 minutes in the bio. You're all excited because I mentioned
man.
that fellow.
I am. Naval Academy. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. He was 2 years as an instructor for the U.S. Marine Corps. Left active duty and joined the Naval Reserve. Seabees. Served 25 years in the reserve.
Nice.
Recalled active duty for 1991 Desert Storm. Served in Germany, Turkey, and Iraq. Scott moved to San Ramon in 1980, and he works at the Livermore Lab. He started there as a test engineer. Retired from the lab in 2017. He continues to work there as a consultant mechanical engineer. Great job, Scott. He founded Boy Scout Troop 84 in 1988 with 8 boys. The troop now has 100 boys. Led scouts on over 22 50-mile backpack trips in the Sierra Nevada mountains and Cascades. That's pretty cool. He's mentored 117 boys to Eagle Scout, which is an amazing accomplishment. Yeah. Climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania in 2015 with 5 friends. He first ran for city council in 2003 and won. He was reelected 3 more times. In 2011, he walked 15,000 homes. That was every street in San Ramon at the time. Literally, that was. Now we're triple that. He married his wife, Elizabeth. She's from Maryland. They have 4 growing children, 3 boys, 1 girl. The boys are civilian nuclear engineers for the Navy, a video game producer for Ubisoft. One helped produce the South Park games, Sick of Truth and Fractured But Whole. We love South Park on this show. And a software engineer for Google. His daughter is a first-grade teacher, and we love educators. Scott, welcome to the show. Why don't you just start off and telling us a little bit about this experience, mostly in your city council days, and how you've seen San Ramon maybe change over the years, and what you're really looking to accomplish in your next term. Shall you be elected?
Well, let's see. We moved here in 1980, and San Ramon wasn't a city then.
Right.
We became a city in 1983,
mm-hmm.
And I know you interviewed Mary Lou Oliver. Really admire Mary Lou Oliver. She's done a lot of great things in the city. In fact, she is probably more responsible for our very close relationship with the school district than any other person. Most people, they go to the elementary schools and they see the big green grassy areas. Well, San Ramon City maintains those for our sports teams, but they actually belong to the school district. The tennis courts at Cal High, the swimming pool at Cal High, is maintained by the city because Mary Lou helped work a relationship with the school district, and we've continued that relationship. We have the theater out in Doherty Valley that the city maintains for the school district, and on and on. But Mary Lou, fabulous lady. But that was 1983, and we were less than 20,000 at that time. And the city consisted mainly of the corridor that goes up and down, the area around Broadmoor and Devona and all that, and then up into Twin Creeks area. Mary Lou lives up in the Twin Creeks area, and the other people responsible for the city at that time some of them lived in the Twin Creeks area, and some of them lived down around Country Club School and Walt Disney School in that area. Well, we've grown a lot. We're now over 85,000 people. And, when we incorporated in 1983, it was so that we had control of the planning and the policies and police and the governance of our community. And it's really made a difference. I mean, if you think about what would the county have done in the city, I doubt they would have spent the time and effort to make it what it is today. Mm-hmm. So we have to be very grateful for those people early on. Now, I joined the council in 2003. Okay. The city was kind of going through a leadership crisis at the time. Many of you may remember what we called the Gang of Three. These were three council members that were spending our city reserves just like crazy and had policies that really didn't reflect what most people wanted. Mm-hmm. So I was actually asked by a former mayor to run in 2003, and there were 2 seats available, and the 2 incumbents chose not to run. So there were 3 of us that ran for those 2 seats, and that was 2003, and here we are in 2017. Mm-hmm. And the city's changed a lot since 2003 even. I mean, we were at about 40,000 at that time. Yeah. And we continue to grow. But in most ways, I think it's been an improvement. We have fabulous parks. We have our own police force mm-hmm. That helps maintain the safety of the city. We control the planning going forward, though the state meddles in it to a huge degree, and we're going to talk about that a little more later. But things that are important to me are things like keeping San Ramon safe. Mm-hmm. If the city council can't put in place policies to keep the citizens of San Ramon safe, then we're definitely not doing our job. I also want to protect open spaces and the ridge lines. We want to improve the parks, particularly on the west side. There's some areas that they just don't have many parks, and we need to give everybody equal access to parks. I want to help improve traffic congestion, reduce traffic congestion. We've got some things that are going on that'll help in that area. I'd love to talk about those. Helping small businesses through the pandemic, and help people safely commute to work, whether it's by bicycle or pedestrian and things like that. And so we've got a bicycle master plan we can talk about some more lately. I definitely want to talk to Brett about Marine Corps things, so before we're done.
Yeah, me too. I'm already thinking that.
So what you got there?
Well, listen, we've got we've been looking at some of the things you've been running on, and some of the guys have a couple questions. So
sure,
I think we'll just dive right in. You've mentioned some of them, which is great. So let's
let me.
Who's that? Why don't you let Matt go?
I'll start. Hey Scott. Can you tell people why the city moved to district elections in Santa Rosa?
Yes. Last year, a man wrote a letter citing the California Voting Rights Act. And the California Voting Rights Act requires that every city that gets one of these letters go through the process of either establishing districts so that people in protected classes have equal access to governance. What this means is that if we have minorities that aren't represented in there are enclaves, if you will, of minorities, they should have districts so that they can elect from their own into the council. So he wrote this letter. In fact, he wrote one letter to 4 agencies. He wrote it to Danville, the school district, the fire district, and the city of San Ramon. And once he writes that letter, there's a timeline set up by the state to go through this process. So we hired a demographer. a person who understands demographics and our city precincts, and he helped us establish the precincts. So we've got a precinct that is in the northwest. That is District 1. District 1 is, think of it from Alcosta, these aren't exact, but from Alcosta west,
Right.
and from Montevideo Drive and north to the city boundaries.
Okay.
That's District 1. From Montevideo south is District 2. That's Dave Hudson.
Mhm.
And then Dougherty Valley is Districts 3 and 4.
Mhm.
Instead of being split east-west, that one's split more or less northwest-southeast.
Okay.
And that's Districts 3 and 4. Sabina Svar represents District 4, and Phil Alone is currently in District 3. He's not running, so there's 4 people that are running for that District 3 seat.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
And if we chose not to go, I don't think district helps the city. I really don't.
Yeah.
What ends up happening is each member of the council will be mainly focused on their district. And that may not serve the whole city well. And I see it happening in San Francisco and Oakland. You know, so-and-so's from the Sunset District, or so-and-so's from, the Fruitvale District. And so they focus on what is happening in their district, sometimes to the detriment of other districts. And I don't think that'll serve the citizens of San Ramon well.
Scott, you bring up a great point, because I just recently filled out my ballot and I saw my San Ramon mayor candidates, which, okay, boom. And then no city council people.
Right.
And I was like, wow. So I can't even vote for somebody in my city, although they may be in a district, but they're still impacting decisions in my city.
That's a really excellent point. Instead of voting for 2 council members every 2 years, you now get to vote for 1 council member every 4 years. That's completely different. You can understand why that really changes things. It also means if you want to run for office, you only get a chance to run for council once every 4 years, whereas it used to be you could run every 2 years until you made it. And it just changed everything. And I really don't think it serves the citizens well. But it is what it is.
Well,
who does it serve?
That's the law. There have been a couple of cities down in Southern California that fought it. It cost each of them over $500,000 to fight and lose.
Yeah.
And, fighting and losing isn't a good way to spend $500,000.
No, especially in these times, right? So just go with it. All right. Well, Abe, what do you got for Mr. Perkins?
Yeah, so, there's been, we've talked to a number of people about the City Walk.
Yes.
There's a lot of questions, a lot of dialogue around the City Walk. Why is the City Walk moving forward with, 4,500 units?
Well, once again, the state mandated the California Voting Rights Act. Well, the state mandates housing. We are required by law to provide a large quantity of housing opportunity sites. So we have to zone space for doing those things. If we don't, really bad things happen. Pleasanton, back in 2006, had a moratorium on residential housing. They were sued by a housing advocacy group. They lost at the district court. They lost at the appeals court. They lost at the Supreme Court. And they ended up negotiating with, that time, it was Attorney General Jerry Brown, until they came up with a settlement for how to have new housing in Pleasanton. If you drive down 680 and you get off at Bernal and you look north and south from there, you'll see a lot of new housing. That's the result. They spent 4 years and $5 million to lose that lawsuit. So the question isn't whether we're going to have housing. The question is where we're going to have housing. And the council felt that putting it in the middle of Bishop Ranch actually served a number of good purposes. It puts the people working are living, they're where many of them will likely work. If you were a young couple or a young professional, wouldn't that be one of the first places you would look to rent or buy? Of course. They will also provide transportation within Bishop Ranch for anybody that's a resident. They will also provide transportation to the 2 BART stations for anybody that's a resident. So if you live there and your partner worked in Bishop Ranch and you worked at a place you could get to from BART, that's a fabulous opportunity. You might have to only have 1 car instead of, like most people, and you have to have 1 for each of you. So it solves some housing problems. They can live there, they can work close by. There's close proximity to shopping, both at the marketplace, where the Nob Hill is, and of course the Target, and all the shops there at Target in that area. And then if they do have to get on the freeway, it's a very short access to the freeway where they're not going through any neighborhoods. Oh boy, we got some friends coming in.
Yeah, we muted. We muted him. He's
all right.
He's got grandkids. He's an old grandkid. There's his granddaughter.
Isn't she precious?
Hi.
Hi. Well,
so you bring up a good point, though. But I think the curveball now, since the city has approved all this, I think the curveball is COVID, right? So you have more people working remote and not needing to be next to their work. And, and so
that's a good point, and that will change things for a few years.
4,500 homes away.
I'm not sure how many years that will be true.
Right, it'll come back. I agree. I think it'll come back.
They're planning on their construction projects. Plan on having the first opening in 2023.
Wow,
and it's a 27-year project. So they're going to open the last door in 2050. I won't be here, but some of you might. But the fact that it's a very long process. And
we'll be on walkers soon. Yeah.
Half the units are going to be studio and 1 bedroom. Half the units are going to be 2 bedroom with a few 3 bedrooms. So it's not really going to impact the schools all that much. You aren't going to have a lot of kids coming out of studio and 1 bedroom apartments. They tend to be kind of small. You can't imagine having 2 teenage boys in a 1 bedroom, maybe even a 2 bedroom apartment might be tricky with a couple of teenage boys. So the school impact's going to be kind of minimal. They figure it'll be about 900 over the 27 years, so about 30 students a year. So the school impact's really pretty small.
Yeah. All right. And you mentioned parks as well. So, obviously making sure everyone has parks. And how about our with all the development, how are our hillsides and open spaces protected?
Really good question. We have established an open space fund so that we can jump, if someone out there that owns land that's on one of our hillside areas, we can join in with Save Mount Diablo or East Bay Regional Parks to buy the land or get a conservation easement. Just a couple of months ago, we were able to work with the East Bay Parks to preserve the land up above the laborers camp. Now, I'll bet most of you may not know where the laborers camp is. Okay, you do. It's up above Lucky, the Lucky at the south end. If you go west from there, there's a laborers training camp up there, and the Laborers Trust Fund owns most of that hillside. And so we worked with East Bay Parks and the trust to preserve 177 of those acres. And so every time we get word that there's somebody that they either want to donate the land, they want to get some consideration for it, those kinds of things, we have an open space fund where we can work with the local agencies to preserve those hillsides. So you can pretty much expect that you will not see any more building on any of the hillsides, either on the east side or the west side.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Yeah. Love those hills turn green. Soon, maybe.
Yeah, let's get some rain out here. Brett, what do you got for Mr. Perkins?
Well, You know, I got a little excited. Sorry.
Well, we love your granddaughter coming in. We love it.
Well, I got excited about her too.
It's
she
beautiful.
They heard him come in and it got a little loud, but she had to say hi to me, and I had to say hi to her, so that worked. But I was sorry. I got sidetracked and impressed.
No worries.
With the Naval Academy thing. I had a couple uncles that worked there, and I was in the Marines, and we love CBs, so appreciate it. When Desert Storm as well. Yeah, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah,
but we've had a few candidates on. I've asked all of them. It's something that's my own personal. Well, we're all concerned with it, but it's I've taken somewhat more to heart. But just crime in San Ramon. San Ramon's always been a real friendly city. We've always had low crime. I think a lot because the neighbors respect each other and look out for each other. And things have obviously shifted in the last couple of months. It's gotten very political. Some city councils have, I don't know, have gone one way or the other. And,
right.
What are we going to do to keep San Ramon safe? I guess,
Well, we're not going to defund our police. We're actually looking for ways to increase their training and get some additional help. One of the interesting things that's happening recently is there's a group called the City Managers Association, and the mayors of the 19 cities in the county have tasked the 19 city managers with coming up with some solutions to people who make 911 calls because their family is dealing with a mental health crisis. We saw this just last week, or just 2 days ago, or 3 days ago in Philadelphia. Yeah, a man with a mental health crisis was shot and killed. It doesn't have to be that way if we can get the right kind of help for these people. So the city managers have a task force. They're going to put together some solutions that work with the county so that when we get one of these mental health calls, we can have a mental health professional respond with the police officers. Many of the mental health professionals have said, I'm not going to respond on my own. Some of these people are really violent, and I need the police there with me. But the police are saying, I'm not a healthcare professional. I need somebody with that kind of training with me so that we can help this person. Now, we have for the last 3 or 4 years, the city of San Ramon, whenever we have somebody in this mental health crisis, and we have the authority to commit them for 72 hours for observation, we get them support services from the county and from other nonprofits. And we do that. And then we follow up with the family afterwards to make sure that they're getting access to these services. We do that for many reasons. One is to get the person the help they need. The second is to get the family the help they need. And third, we hope we aren't having to answer another call at that residence in the near future with the escalating problem. So if we can get the help that they need, we won't be answering calls to those people. Now, we talk a little bit about crime, and crime is a very different subject than the mental health crises. And the fact that we have such fabulous residents that and almost universally like our police force and are willing to cooperate with our police force, it really pays off. We get citizen calls and they say, that car parked across the street, I've never seen that car in my neighborhood before. And one of the officers can respond and they just tap on the window and say, can we help you? They don't ask them to come out with their hands up or anything. They just says, can we help you? And 99% of the time, that person, they said, I just couldn't find the house I was looking for, or some other innocent response. But sometimes you just prevented a burglary. You don't know it, but that burglary didn't happen. So our police force love it when we get calls from people. If you see something that looks odd, call. The police aren't going to come out blazing guns. They come out and they say, can we help you? And lo and behold, the person knows they've been seen, and they'll either leave the area or they'll get the help they need. Another thing I pushed hard for was camera systems. You may have heard about this recently. and you may see that we're putting up camera systems at our major intersections around town.
Yes.
We're putting up 2 different kinds of cameras. One of them is what's called an ALPR, automatic license plate reader.
Yeah.
So it reads the license plate, it accesses a database and says, is this car stolen?
Yeah.
Are the plates stolen? Or is the owner of this car wanted for some other purpose? And it sends an immediate alert to all the officers that are on duty, and it sends alert to the dispatch center. We have already located and returned to their owners more than, we've only had the cameras up a few weeks, 6 stolen cars.
I've seen that. That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know it's 6 weeks.
3 of the cars were occupied by the thief. So we put them in jail and we returned the cars. That's terrific. The other kind of camera is kind of a situational awareness camera. It just takes a continuous video, and they're at about 60 locations around the city. They're being installed now. They're not all in place, but each location is taking 4 directions at once. So if an accident happens there, or if somebody passes through that intersection that we want to know why they were there at 2 in the morning, they're cleaning out mailboxes or whatever they're doing, it gives us a great video record of where they were traveling. So we hope that those cameras will be up soon and providing our detectives with lots of leads to follow up on.
Scott, that's great. I love it. And I've seen those reports for the police on those cameras. That's awesome. I just have I've got one last question, then we have to close out because we're running short on time.
Oh,
but I would it's one of those great things. Like it feels like it's been 5 minutes, but time rolls on, right?
Right.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
so we
right.
would like, I want to know your call for the $500 per person contribution limit in San Ramon. Tell me about that. Let us know what that's all about.
Well, first off, my opponent has received $9,000 cash.
Wow.
$9,000 cash.
And who's your opponent?
From my opponent.
Yeah.
They have also received from that same person, they spent $3,000 on a mailer. So that person has spent $12,000 for my opponent and given my opponent $9,000 in cash.
Yeah.
The spending limit is $25,000.
Okay.
So they've gotten half of the spending limit from one person. One other candidate has received $30,000 from that same person.
Wow.
For the mayor's election.
Ooh.
That data is public record. You can get it from the city clerk's office. And more information, I can get you that. But
now this is important.
$30,000 out of the $50,000 limit.
Mm-hmm.
So this one person is trying to buy 2 seats.
Okay.
I think that's flat out wrong.
That is wrong. Yep. Absolutely.
And $500 seems like a lot, and it can be, but when you have a $25,000 spending limit, $500 is not going to buy you a seat.
Right.
And most of more than half of my contributions have been under $100.
Mm-hmm.
I get small checks. I've gotten, I think the smallest check I got was a $10 check. I've gotten lots of 25.
Me.
I've gotten lots of 50s, and then there are people who want to donate $99 and remain.
That's fine. Yeah, that's great. So if they go over 100, they have to say their name?
That's right. If you donate more than 100, you have to give your name and your employer.
Okay.
So it's just $9,000 for one person. You know that if she were elected and he calls, she's going to listen to what he says. She's going to vote like he wants.
I like that. And I said we have a few more minutes, but we do have to get into this. We have to extend this, guys. This is the last subject here. We would like to hear your opinion, since you're a longtime resident. Mm-hmm. Big issue in South San Ramon is the golf course. The golf course. What do you know? What can you share? What are your anticipations for the golf course?
I think the guy who bought it didn't do his due diligence in the first place.
Mhm.
He bought 3 golf courses in Southern California and
Yes.
Nevada,
Mhm.
and he was able to convert them into housing.
Right.
And he did that because the golf course itself was zoned residential.
Okay.
Our golf course is zoned golf course.
Thank you.
In order to change it from golf course to anything else, you have to get 4 votes from the Planning Commission and 4 votes from the council to change its designation
Mhm.
to anything other than golf course. So it just makes no sense.
Can
that
they
you would buy-
can they alter? Can there be an alteration to that though, to where
No,
they
An
you're
override.
limited to golf course and the construction of facilities to support a golf course, such as a pro shop, a shed for the golf carts,
Mhm.
a banquet facility,
Mhm.
a clubhouse. Those are the only kinds of buildings you can put in the golf course designated land. So you can have open space. I mean, if he quits mowing the lawns and watering the lawns, we can actually force him to mow it. We can't force him to water it, but we can force him to mow it.
Okay.
But okay, he spent $8 million for this golf course,
Mhm.
and there's no way for him to change the designation to anything else unless he can somehow get 4 council members and 4 planning commissioners. He's got to find 8 out of 10
Mhm.
to change the designation. I don't see that ever happening.
How many planning commissioners are there?
There's 5,
Okay,
So
so
he's
there's
gotta
5,
get 4
5
out
and
of
5
5.
of each. Okay,
and he's got to get 4 out of 5 council.
so, okay.
It's never going to
Good
happen.
amount.
But he was successful
Okay.
down south. And so I give him credit for down there. I mean, it's a miserable thing to go through. And one of the things he did to piss everybody off, he bought a couple of tons of chicken manure
Mhm.
and he spread it around out there. Well, the air quality district down there fined him thousands of dollars for the odorous nature of all the chicken manure.
Mhm.
We put our Bay Area Air Quality Management District on notice that if he ever did that, they would cite the previous violation and his fines would go up probably by an order of 10.
Wow.
So
Nice.
he's not going to pull that kind of crap.
That's
here.
where we like you, man.
Like that.
Keep it going.
We
Keep
like
it
that.
going in the city. So
Yep.
Learned that at the Naval Academy, I bet.
Yeah.
listen.
Brett,
Okay.
who'd you serve with? I got to ask Brett. Who'd you serve
Okay.
with, Brett?
I was in 4th Force Recon.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
we're on a
Okay.
ship. We're
All
on a
right.
ship until the ground war started. But anyway, talk about that.
If you guys didn't know this, he could kill you with his baby finger. And
Maybe.
you wouldn't know
Yeah,
it.
that's why we don't mess with him.
I'm older now. I need
That's
2
why
of them.
Don't mess with
that's
him.
why we don't mess with him.
No,
But thank you, Scott,
Scott.
for your time. Fortunately, we have to end the show. It's
okay.
we're at our point, so we'd love
We're
to have
good.
you on at a future time. And
Way too much fun.
Yeah,
All right.
Scott, we'll
Thank
have
you,
you on
Scott. Good luck.
again. We'll have
Yeah.
you on at a later point,
Yep.
after re-election. I would like to talk to you too about like what I said in my email about my son with the RTC.
Yes, I would
And,
love to talk to him about that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, don't listen to Brett. Don't listen to Brett.
Yeah. Go
nobody
listen.
listens to Brett. We
They have
not even
great
we
geek
listen to
clubs.
Brett. So,
Okay.
hey,
Good to see you guys.
last
good
last
luck,
word for Scott.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very super informative. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much, Scott. Good luck.
Thank
you,
and
Scott.
we'll talk to you on the other side.